You are tuning in to John Pierre and Mary's fun-loving, crazy, and honest podcast.
If it don't smell bad, it must be clean.
Unequally Yoked, where any and every topic, life,
marriage,
I'll go first because I have something to say.
Uh-oh.
kids, and entrepreneurship are up for discussion.
how does Mary, a pastor's daughter,
And John, a guy who rarely saw the inside of a church growing up, get together
No.
and stay together.
We all have roles.
what does life look like 10 plus years into marriage?
2 kids and trying to run a family business.
How do we keep this nest egg from cracking?
What you mean?
Listen in to Unequally Yoked as we dive in to give a man
Next. And a woman's perspective
Somebody back me up on
Nobody.
to all the topics married folks are talking about.
this. Are you ready?
Let's do this, boo. Hey guys, welcome back to Unequally Yoked with John Pierre and Mary. This is season 3, episode 3,
Yes.
where we get to talk about my favorite things, all the pretty things. And we brought in an expert,
For real
a
expert.
for real expert, okay? And our friend, principal designer Leticia Haywood is here in the building.
Hello.
What's going
Thank
on?
you guys. Oh gosh, working, staying
Right.
busy.
Right? That's a good thing. Even
It's
though, even though sometimes we don't want it to be, it's a good thing.
It's a great problem to have.
We are busy and booked around here, okay? The vid is not stopping people from buying houses.
Nope,
That's right.
They not stopping them from buying furniture,
not at all.
okay?
Renovation.
Renovations, they
Right.
sitting in their house, they hate everything in it, and they want all the new things.
All the
And
things.
that's where you come in. So we want to talk about your background. We want to talk about, there's so many things we want to talk about.
Always.
And we're gonna
Always.
try and let John talk. He wants to talk too.
I always have questions. So, and this is an area that I have no expertise in. So, learning from you will be fantastic for me. And so, I'm super excited. So, thank you so much for being on. I mean,
Thank you for having me.
People don't know this, but we've known each other for a very long time. This goes way beyond like business or anything like that. So, it's good to just have friends on with us, and that's awesome.
Yes. No, it's been such a pleasure just hanging out with you guys, and it's been years. It
Yeah.
truly has been years. So
Many years.
Well, we're all kind of growing up together.
yes,
And as
That's a
we're
way to put it.
going through like our life's journey, it's so great to have friends like you to be able to like say, hey, because I didn't know when I met you that I would ever do what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So we're really, really blessed to have someone like yourself that I can call and just be like, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. You're the real interior designer. You've been in this business for over 16 years now.
yes, going into 17 years. I can't believe it.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about your background, because when people think of interior designer, like, did you go to school for interior design? Like, how did you get yourself started?
So it was funny that my start, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to journalism school. I wanted to work in the newspaper. Before I left home, I'm from Bay City, Texas. Before I left home, I worked for the local newspaper.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
cool.
yes, I was a typist back then when you typed articles and pasted them up and put them out. Showing my age here. And then,
And
then
it's not like kind of serial killer, right? You type, is that like I'm thinking about cutting out the magazine. Okay, never mind. That's what serial killers do. Not that.
no. So from there, I was like, okay, well, it was still creative, right? But my sister was like, you've always been the creative one. You've always painted your bedroom, and come and hang out with me. She was at Sam Houston State with fashion merchandising at the time. And she said, they have an interior design program. And I was like, there's really actually a thing to just decorate and design? She was like, yeah. So I transferred. I went to junior college first, transferred, and then started at Sam Houston and got my Bachelor of Arts degree in interior design. And then I minored in industrial technology, AutoCAD.
Yes.
Oh,
My thought was, if I wasn't going to make it as an interior designer, I can go to someone's business and be like a CAD drafter. That was my backup plan.
That's a great plan.
that's
Because I
fantastic.
tell you, that's somebody I need right now. But it's really, it's very time consuming, and it's very tedious. And I don't like the numbers. I don't like dimensions. John can tell you all my light fixtures are always too big. Okay. It's like ceiling heights. Who cares what the ceiling height is? Just walk under the light.
Right.
You know, that
Even there.
I need someone like that. And I always kick myself now. Of course, we were talking about hindsight earlier. I always kick myself now that I don't have the schooling, that background, you know, that I think really helps, that goes into design. But as you can say, I mean, a lot of design is based on your feeling and what you're feeling at the time, and your clients as well.
Yeah.
Client driven for sure. But I tell anyone, I have an intern right now. She's at HCC and San Jacinto as an interior design student. And I told her, you know, design is an 80% problem solving and client management. And the rest is, you know, your creativity coming out. Because if you can't, if you can't problem solve or think through or critically, you know, there's a really thin line between that. You can create beautiful things all day, but it's the problem solving that's key.
And time management and organization skills, you know, that's really important, because I would think clients are coming to us as the experts because it's like they have a vision, or they need someone to help execute it. Or they don't have a vision and they don't want to execute. They just don't have the time to execute it either. Right. So how are you guys doing? I mean, I know you came from working with other interior design firms. And this is where John will come in. He's going to love to hear all about why it is that you chose to step out on faith. We've been talking about stepping out on faith. It's been like a recurring theme here, right? And so we want to know why, what was it that made you decide to start your own design firm?
So I've been in the industry for so long, and just a short overview or synopsis. So once I graduated from college, I started working for, you know, an interior designer here, a custom home builder there, a furniture store. I just wanted to see what I liked. And I was working 7 days a week, and until someone gave me a full-time job, and it was the home builder that did. And so from there, that's how I learned construction design. I was so green. I was going out there. Those guys, you know, it's blowing and going. This was back before the bubble popped in 2008. And so speculative homes, you know, when you go, you know, builders snap up a lot, put up a new construction home. I was helping with the selection process. Also did the CAD drafting and elevations for the residential design team. And then, you know, it gets installed and the house sells and you're on to the next. And then 2008 happened. And so that's where I pivoted from the construction design to the interior design. And I started working for different interior design firms. So people laugh at me now, but I'm very, you have to be organized. You must be organized. So I have a binder system. My associate designer, Shanae, she was like, you and your bindering, like my binders are organized and, you know, to the T. So when clients see me with their project notebook, they're like, you're so organized. Well, without those the binders, the papers will be everywhere.
Right.
It's very tedious. It's a ton of paper. I know we're trying to be green, so I don't like to print out things as often. But no, organization is a must. You know, I don't understand how, you know, some people operate differently. It's just my brain operates.
I wasn't going to throw him under the bus today. I really want him to be great today. Yes.
Oh, he raised his hand though.
But that's why we are together, you know, but listening, I thought you'd be really excited to hear what was your defining moment that made you decide to go from working for someone else to having your own business.
So it just became, so my health, I have to say, you know, just putting out there, my health, it was, you know, I was kind of stressed out, of feeling a little burnt out. And as a creative, that's what you need internally to just keep going. So when I talked to my husband, Mark, as y'all both know, and he was just like, you know what, take the leap of faith. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a break, because I've always said I would never go into business for myself. That was my running.
Interesting.
Yes. Everyone knew, like, Letecia was not going to do this on her own. And we were in the middle of the pandemic. We got back from traveling. All of our traveling stopped, came to a halt, actually, you know. And so I was sitting at home, and it got to the point where this creative thing inside of me just was like, you're bored. What are you going to do? You know, what's your purpose? You're not standing in your purpose. You need to become, you know. And then I was like, okay, fine. And all of a sudden, these doors started opening. I had a designer who was like, hey, I need some CAD drafting done. Are you free? And I'm like, free? I have all the time in the world. Of course I'll help. And then that started to snowball. And then, you know, people started reaching out like, hey, where have you been? You know, and I'm like, I've been resting and hanging out. And they're like, you know, we would love for you to help us. And so I was just like, okay, listening to him, okay, you've been pushing me, you're like nudging me. Now you're just about to like push me off the edge. It's time to move forward and do your own thing. Yeah. So in May of 2020, I decided to get my LLC and quietly start, you know, doing some things around the business, you know, still helping out other designers. But then at the same time, one client was like, hey, I've been following your career for the longest time, and we are thinking about doing a renovation. Can you help us?
That's cool.
And then that was the beginning. And now, right now I have 13 clients.
Wow.
Yes, a roster of clients. I have my associate designer, who's like my right hand. And then I have an intern to help.
That's amazing.
It's barely over a year.
Yeah,
so
just
no,
made
I've been
a year.
Blessed beyond measure. Like, no, I couldn't even imagine being at this place right now.
No, that's super cool. I think that's always a recurring thing for me, is just like when you take that leap, right? Especially, it's really cool whenever you take that leap and it comes from not initially not believing that's where you wanted to be, right? Yes, like going from I don't ever want to do this to now you find yourself doing it and it's the best thing ever, right? Like, you know what I mean? And that's a really cool thing. And one of the things that I picked up on that I feel like is really important is something that I never talk about because it's way out of my league. But you were asked, what is one of the things that you wish you would have learned in design school that you didn't learn, right? Or that you wish would have been taught. Yeah. You kind of touched on a little bit like that, but could you, because that's one thing that I definitely need to learn myself, and a lot of people who want to get into business need to hear. So please, what is it that you wish would have been taught that you feel like is really important for people who want to start their own business?
And to expound on his question, when I read that, it really resonated with me because I always give myself grief that I don't have the proper schooling.
Yeah.
And you know, it's almost like it will be, if I didn't have John and I was on my own, I wouldn't say, oh, I would go and do this. I would step out and have my own business because I'm like, I don't have the proper schooling, but I don't have the proper training for it. But you having that, is that something that you think necessarily someone needs to have? And if so, what are the things that you wish that they would have taught you in school that you can't learn in school?
So there's like a ton of things, but I think first and foremost, it comes down to like just running a business. Like they teach business courses, but nothing just gives you the depth that you need when you're knee deep in it and you're trying to, you know, make sure vendors are paid and that sales taxes are done and that, you know, all of the things that, you know, they touch on a little bit.
Yeah.
If you're out there going and, you know, into business for yourself, I feel like, you know, business classes, like being a business minor, like just getting a little bit more into that, I feel like is a little bit lacking. And then the teaching of time management, I think is of the utmost importance because time is money in this industry. A lot of people, a lot of designers, they bill a flat fee or hourly. I bill hourly. So every 15-minute increment is, you know, I'm billing my client. I must produce and present. And so when you're just spinning your wheels, you're costing your clients money, you're costing your project money. So I feel like between that and then the business behind it all, the business of design, I feel like they need to get a little bit more in depth in that, because even as a design student, a graduate from Sam Houston State University, you know, a great schooling, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't until I've been in the business for like over 10 years where I figured out, oh, okay, this is how you make a profit. Not even, you know, it because at the end of the day, our creativity is what drives us, but we're a business. We're, you know, wanting to be a profitable business, but we also, we're a service industry. We want to serve our clients and make sure that they're happy and make sure that what they are wanting us, like, what are they giving us to do? Like we are executing that to the highest quality and that they love it, because we're in people's homes, we're in people's spaces.
It's a very personal thing.
Very
and
personal.
I mean, one of the things that John and I always talked about, even in the beginning, we still kind of struggle with it, but I feel like we're coming out of it, is knowing what your time is worth.
Mm-hmm.
How did you, as a business owner, say, you know, this is what my time is worth, and not feel bad about asking for that in return for your time?
It's so hard. And this has been the age-old dilemma in the design industry. They write many of articles about it. It's
Really?
just, yes, your time, how much are you worth? How much are what's your client willing to pay? Like, you know, it's funny because as a service industry, you know, you think about lawyers, you know, who are billing, you know, that hourly increment, whatever, and they are providing a service. People are like, here, take my money. They see the value.
Yeah.
Right.
The design, they're like, oh, but aren't you just like calling out a paint on the wall, or you're picking out a piece of furniture? And it goes beyond that. It's
So
the
much
time, it's the project management aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's pulling all those things together because, you know, frankly, if everyone had the expertise, they would do it, right?
Right.
You know, and so just the value of design, I think there's been so many conversations around it. Like I got to the point where, you know, being licensed, and, you know, in some states it's a Practice Act state, some it's Title Act, going into the legislation thing of it all. But it truly just depends. There's no set barometer in the industry. And I think that's where things get tricky.
But
And
you
that's why
have to
there's so
know,
many.
but there are a lot of interior designers out there, and there's just like this huge range,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
And so you're just like, I don't know. And then do you feel like it's even competitive? And you know what I mean? Like,
Gosh, so hitting all the tough questions. I've always had the mindset, your client is your client. You know, there is enough, and I've been told this as a design, I call it design newbie growing up in the ranks, and I've always been in Houston. And it's true, your client is your client. Will you be in competition with other designers? Absolutely, because it's in the client's best interest to be talking to more one designer, because it's all about a fit. You want to make sure that y'all are compatible, that you like working together, because this is one of those relationships where your communication skills got to be on point. You got to learn to work well together.
This is a trust-based business.
It is,
and even as a realtor, I'm sure you can identify with that as a realtor. Like, you have to really gain your client's trust, because again, this is their homes. It's a lot of money, and as interior design, it's funny. I feel like I'm always trying to sell the husbands, because to them, they don't care about the pretty stuff, right? They want the bottom line.
Right.
They're just like, okay, this is the budget, but it's the wives who are like, I want to be comfortable in my home. I want to love my home. I want to feel. It's about a feeling for them, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
you know, but it still is about gaining the trust. Yes. And on the construction side too, you know, it would be the same thing.
No, I'm listening to you. It's really, you know, one of the things I'm coming away from it, just listening to you talk, Leticia, is like, you have a background and you've been in it so long, right? And I think what a lot of, kind of touching on what Mary was asking, which we do still struggle with, is how do you value yourself, right? And being in the business for such a long time, you've been able to gain and grow your own confidence in your own abilities. And so that whenever you're presenting yourself to somebody, you're presenting your brand, essentially, is what you're doing. And so your confidence in yourself and your confidence in your own brand allows you to say, this is my rate, this is what it is, and I can guarantee you, and this is what you're worth, and I will assure you that you're going to be, you know, happy with the end result.
Right.
And so just getting to that space is something that we all struggle with. All entrepreneurs struggle with trying to figure that out. Or some people are just like born with an innate confidence.
I know, they just go with it and run with it. Yeah.
And I think that's really, really, really cool. And the one thing that I think is really cool to talk about when it comes to confidence in an industry, you know, for the most part, when you look across the spectrum of designers, there's not a whole bunch of diversity. I think diversity is becoming more prevalent now, but how was your journey in just becoming the it person, because you are kind of a big deal. I don't know if
You
know
are
that.
a
You're
big
kind of a big
deal.
So
You're like what she's right now. First of all, let's brag on our friend a little bit. All right. She is a published, award-winning designer. I mean, I don't want to throw out all the awards you've won. You were like president of the chapter here in Houston, I believe. And please correct me on all, because I don't know all the technical things, but all of it is really amazing. Right now, you are one of 100 ambassadors for the What's Next, what's new and what's
next. What's new, what's next in New York.
Ooh, yeah. I was looking through, I was shopping a little bit and I was like, I don't know what this it was like some sort of leather chair. I'm about to pull it up. I'm about to send it to you because I was like, what is this hand woven shag leather chair?
Yeah.
That's what's new and what's next. I want to be in the room. I just want to sit in the chair. Okay, I don't want to buy it. I just want to touch it. I mean, it's really amazing that you put yourself out there. First of all, and as John was saying, just I actually thought that was pretty diverse looking through the ambassadors. But do you think, as John was asking you, about diversity as it relates to interior designers?
It is evolving, and it is slowly, the tide is starting to turn, I feel. I feel like there are so many voices out there and people of color, like there's representation matters. It absolutely matters. And starting off as a young interior designer, sometimes just being the only, brown face and a black face and it could be very intimidating. I'm just going to say it that way.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yes, I've seen, it's been a slow churn because nothing happens overnight. We all know that. But I think 2020 kind of just turned things on its head a little bit. And now you're seeing more and more companies reaching out to people of color and including them in those spaces, in those show homes, in those high-end magazines, the Elle Decor and the Architectural Digest of the world. And so it's so refreshing to see, because I'm going to be honest, it took a long time to get to this one point here. And like I said, I've been doing this for almost 17 years. And that's past me from that too. So it's great to see. I'm excited to see it. And seeing some of these panelists that's coming up where I'm going in New York, I'm like, yes. Just the representation matters, hands down. And then too, for the clients as well. Clients want to work with people who they resonate with and who they can relate to. And so that is just as important. And that's where I'm finding things are slowly changing.
Good. Yeah. And you're part of the change. You're like leading the change. And
he's been on the forefront.
It's like you're cutting a path, and hopefully you'll turn around and your assistant designer and your intern, and they will be the ones that will follow behind you. It doesn't matter, their color or creed, but just the fact that you're creating a path for others to follow, and we can look at your face and be like, hey, she's black.
And you're doing it on your own, which I think is even more amazing for them to see, that you are like, what, I have this experience from construction, and like you took all of that, and now you're not going to get tired. You're not going to get burned out because it's something that you're doing for yourself. Yeah. And I think that's even more beautiful.
Yeah, it's funny thinking back about it now. I'd never thought in a million years, I honestly could say. And the community, the design community here in Houston has, have been so supportive and welcoming. And I think that just needs to keep going, because from an industry where it could be very intimidating, because let's just be real, you're in people's home, you're selling this, dream or something on paper. You're saying, this is what I'm showing you. Please trust me. It's going to look wonderful in real life.
Right.
And so, that's not lost on me, to have people just outright trust and say, here, we're investing in you to help create this for us and our family and our generational, just keeping things going. So that's not lost on me at all. But it's like I said, it's great to see that change happen. And I only want it to keep going forward. I just don't want it to be like, oh, we captured this one moment in time and a fad, right? And all of a sudden it's out of style and people have moved on from it. Like, no, this needs to be continual. And hopefully we'll see that.
And and also what I think is really interesting, and it's not like there weren't minority designers out there. They just weren't being showcased. Because it's not like, oh, all of a sudden, wow, look, it's all of it. No, they were here.
Yes, no, they
just didn't have the opportunity.
Yes.
And that's definitely something to have to be said, to look through that list of ambassadors. I was like, whoa, and oh man, that person, like they've been doing it for years. You've been in it for almost 17 years, you know. So
now it's totally. And this is like, it's not new, right? You know, it's just now everything is coming full circle and the recognition is starting to happen. So let's keep that going, because like I look back at some of the designers and I have their magazines, I have their books, and I've known about them, but you know, what about
the
everyone
masses?
Else?
Right.
Yes. What about everyone else?
What about everyone else? One thing before you go, so because you are the expert interior designer here, there are people who can't, you know, they can't get to us. You got 13 right now. We got a wait list of 50 or so. You know, we want to get to everybody. Hey, bless them books, as I said.
Yes,
okay.
Bless.
But what advice can you give individuals who, you know, want to do some things to their home, but they may not have the budget to do so? What advice can you give them?
I always say start in phases. You know, in a perfect world, would we want it all done, wave a magic wand and boom, it happens? Like, no, we all have lives, we all have budgets. Let's be realistic. I always say, you know, let's start with that one space and let's make a change with that one space. And then let's sit on it and then let's keep moving forward. There's nothing wrong with taking your time when it comes to the investment that you're making on your home. I would, you know, that would be my biggest takeaway. It's just, you know, take your time. And then too, you want to curate the things you want to see, because you know, it should be a reflection of you and the client and their home. And so I always tell people, I can give you exactly, you know, something great, something beautiful, but I want it to resonate with you. I want it to tell your story. So another thing I like to impart with people, like, even if you can't afford a whole room, like invest in that one piece of art that resonates with you, or that one object, or invest in like doing something like a small built-in that helps bring in, you know, some productivity that you want to include in your household. It doesn't have to be an entire room. It can also just be one thing. And so that's why I try to tell people, like, don't let that intimidate you. Let's work on it small so we can grow it large. Eventually you'll get there.
I love the artwork, because if they invest in that art piece, that may be the color inspiration that they're looking for. Right. And so, and then they could just start with telling their story.
It's all about telling the client's story. I
love that. Well, thank you so much, Leticia, for sharing your time and sharing your story with us. Where can everyone find you on social media or contact you?
Yeah, sure. So my IG handle is Leticia.Ellis.Haywood. I know it's pretty long, but it's just my name, my full name.
Okay. We got a long name.
And then I have a website, www.LeticiaEllisHaywood.com. And and you can find my contact information there.
Awesome. And we'll also put it on the bottom of the screen as well. We just appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I learned so much.
It's
freaking awesome.
Hopefully we'll do this again. I feel like we're just on the tip of the iceberg. I was like, I want to keep talking with you guys. I know we're on a time crunch, so we gotta.
And we want to keep them wanting more.
Hey, y'all know the formula to the Yes, absolutely.
Yes, we can definitely keep going about women in business, Black-owned business. We can keep going on and on, but we'll have to save it for another time for sure. And hopefully you come back and chat with us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If not, I'll see you at happy hour. Okay. All right. Cheers. Thank you guys again. Yes, cheers.
Yes, cheers.
I have water today.
I don't. I have a real drink, so thank you.
What a cheater.
Cheers.
I'm like, I'm working, so
wow. This man of mine.
Well, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it, and just love seeing and doing and keep doing what you're doing. Just love to see y'all on the screen.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, that's it. That was so much fun. Thank you for tuning in. You can find me at Mary TJP on both Facebook and Instagram.
And I'm John P. TJP. We appreciate y'all checking us out. Thanks again to Leticia for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yay!
Thanks, Leticia.
You the best with those pretty white teeth, that beautiful smile. You a star, girl.